Welcome to Silverstone, where we are in for a real treat because it's the Privilege Insurance GT Championship and Chris Goodwin occupies pole position in McLaren, and there's the Lister of Jamie Campbell-Walter, the former TVR driver who joins ex-Formula One star Julian Bailey. A packed crowd here at Silverstone, a rolling start, remember, and we're about to get underway. Goodwin versus Campbell-Walter. Who will get the better of the starts from those two? Out front, we've got another McLaren and Porsche on the second row, more of which in a moment. We're on board here with David Saunders in the other of the Porsche GT1s, and he doesn't get the best of starts, losing out a place there to the Torquil tiring John Greasley combination Porsche, and at the moment John Greasley out first in that. That's the Venturi of Chris Ellis, and here on board with the massive Mighty Viper starting from the pit lane, that is Neil Cunningham. We'll watch their progress with interest, fancied for GT2 honours here as we join the Certic Motorsport Porsche 911 of David Warnock. Up ahead though, a challenge for second place because Magnus Wallender's got to the inside there of Jamie Campbell-Walter in the Lister, so the Porsche takes the position away from the Lister. And on board with that Lister, spitting fire. Look at that brilliant stuff through Bridge Corner, absolutely flat out through there. And the distance between the Porsche and the Lister negligible as they come round to the stadium section where most of the crowd are here enjoying the sunshine. And remember, we've got driver changes coming up. Each of these drivers will have to swap places with their partner during the race. And again, the Warnock Porsche. See quite a low sun here, in fact, and a challenge for Jason Saunders. He'll be partnered by Stephen Day this year. And there is our race leader, Chris Goodwin, absolutely hammering the curbs. I'm not sure that's the way to treat your McLaren, but seems to be working very well for him. He's absolutely thundering around the international circuit here and really blitzing everybody else as far as lap times are concerned. Another Porsche GT1 with John Greasley having moved from the partnership with Magnus Wallander, and that is Steve O'Rourke in the GT1 class winning McLaren GTR. Well, towards us, another McLaren. This time it's race leading Chris Goodwin, still absolutely thundering along. And and a moment there for young Jason Saunders. Well, Saunders spinning out of GT2 and, well, rejoining. So fortunately didn't put it in the gravel. Got it all to do though, lost a handful of places there, and Dave Warnock being chased down by Neil Cunningham in the Mighty Viper. Now, glorious sound from that Viper as it goes past us, and David Warnock's place looks under pressure. Remember, Neil Cunningham started that car from the pit lane and has been quietly working his way through the field. He's going to try and get a long way around this time. I'm not sure that's going to work for him, but it will give him a tighter line on the run out. Warnock very much aware that Cunningham in that Viper we're on board with now. There is Dave Warnock up ahead of us. Underneath Bridge will go. You can see how Cunningham pulls across to the left-hand side of the track, clips the apex, and will try to get to the inside as they come through Priory. And he's done it as well as we go on board with Warnock. So, first pit stop taking place. Now this Tim Sugden will take over from gentleman driver Steve O'Rourke. Sugden very much the professional in the outfit, to take nothing away at all from Steve O'Rourke, who's been a brilliant partner for Tim Sugden, but they always tend, if Steve does the first stint, to change early on. That gives Tim a good run at the rest of the field during the remainder of the race. Fires it up, down he goes. Good, clean driver change for them. And Dave Warnock in as well in the GT2 Porsche. Now there's German Claudia Hertzgen, she's taking over from him. And also into the pit lane, another new Porsche for this year. That is David Saunders. He'll hand over to Stefan Ortelli. And Claudia's got a problem. Claudia can't get the car fired up. So some sort of drama for the Certic Motorsport outfit. Off comes the bonnet. They'll just check things over there. And it's fired up. Now here's the change. Stefan Ortelli, a winner at Le Mans last year, remember. 1998 Le Mans winner. They drag literally David Saunders out of the car, and Stefan is safely ensconced, and Claudia makes her way down the pit lane. Remember, they've got to stay below the speed limit in the pit lane, and she'll rejoin. So too Stefan Ortelli. He sets about trying to gauge himself into this race and to reel in the leader, the current leader, Chris Goodwin. Here into the pit lane comes the Marcos, campaigned again this year by Thomas Erdos and Andy Purvis. Purvis bringing it in after the first stint, but here's our race leader, Chris Goodwin. And there's the gap back to second place. Still Magnus Wallander at the wheel of the Porsche. And Magnus taking a very steady line there. Well, another driver change is now coming thick and fast. Out gets John Greasley, in gets Torkel Tyring, the Dane. And we're on board again with Neil Cunningham in the Viper. And waving somebody through, he's clearly seen a quicker car behind him. And it is the Lister of Jamie Campbell-Walter. So Jamie Campbell-Walter in third place at the moment, remember, behind the number 5 Porsche with Magnus Wallander at the wheel of that. Leader is still Chris Goodwin, and across the line in third place comes the Lister. And in comes Jason Saunders, son of David, who we saw earlier on. In gets Stephen Day. Belts will be done up, and we're back on board with the car that was driven by Jason's father a few moments ago. Right behind the Viper now, Stefan Ortelli at the wheel of that. In the Viper, the yellow one just steering wide there, Neil Cunningham. So good driving from Cunningham in his GT2 Viper. Cunningham has had a very varied career, and it will be great for him if he can get the solid drives behind him that he so deserves in this high-profile Privilege Insurance GT Championship. The Lister Storm from third place comes in. So Julian Bailey will take over from Jamie Campbell-Walter, and we're back on board with another of the Porsches. Still Stefan Ortelli making his way through. Lap times absolutely rocketing down for him. Clearly at home in the Porsche, and out goes Julian Bailey, equally at home in the Lister that he drove so well last year. Neil Cunningham comes in. The Brookspeed Racing Team second member is Dave Clark. Bit of a struggle there. Neil's not a big lad at all, and so it gives you an idea how tight a fit it is in that. It'll be even more so for Dave Clark. Cunningham helping him with the belts and braces, and through to complete another lap, Thomas Erdos. The Viper fires up. Scrutineers there just checking everything out, so too the tyre technicians, and adjusting the steering wheel there is Dave Clark. And Tim Sugden is really on it at the moment, chasing down the race leaders. He's currently back in fourth place, but you can hear the glorious sound of that engine in the McLaren, and a problem here for Dave Clark. Dave Clark slowing as he comes out of Luffield in the Viper. He's only just taken over that from Neil Cunningham. A problem then for the Viper. You can see immediately how their progress is hampered, and that looks like the end of a competitive run for Dave Clark. The Lister goes flashing past through Copse Corner. Well, Julian Bailey having done his stop, and in fact there is Chris Goodwin going around the outside of Dave Clark as well. Remember, Goodwin still leading, but that showed you the distance between Julian Bailey, who has done his pit stop, and Chris Goodwin, who has yet to do his. Here is the leading Porsche, or it was at least until it just came in a moment ago. Magnus Wallander will now hand over to Jeff Lister. So Lister in a Porsche. That'll doubtless come up in a motorsport quiz in the future. And here is our race leader. And will they be able to make the change and keep their McLaren out in front? Well, at the moment, James Munro looking to get into the car. Chris Goodwin is out, and no, they've lost the lead, so we've got a new leader. The Lister takes the lead. Up into second place has come the McLaren of Tim Sugden. And a slow pit stop there indeed for James Munro. Hello, somebody's lost a part of the running apparatus, and that to me looks so, yes, it's off the Venturi. So Michael Verger's out, and meanwhile there's a great scrap going on for the lead. Here are the leading two, in fact, side by side. Jeff Lister on the inside and the Lister in the background as well. So Tim Sugden there in the McLaren number 1, trying to get back on terms with the new leader, Jeff Lister. So Lister on his way towards the checkered flag, but harried and harassed all the way behind by Tim Sugden. And Sugden trying to get through, and he is through. So Sugden takes the lead. Brilliant manoeuvre there by Tim Sugden. He demotes the Porsche down to second, and at the moment, well, Jeff Lister's got his hands full because Julian Bailey is swarming all around the rear of his car as well. Sugden, though, with a supreme drive, taking the position on his way towards the checkered flag, and a great victory, a cracking way for Sugden and O'Rourke to start their season. Jeff Lister will take second for the Blue Coral Porsche, and there are Sugden's team on the wall. Absolutely delighted with that. Third place for Julian Bailey. The GT2 category, incidentally, about to be won by Stephen Day at the wheel of the Porsche and his partner Jason Saunders. And not too far back, despite all those dramas during the pit stops, Claudia Hertzgen will bring the Certec Motorsport Porsche through to take second place in the GT2 class. So a good day for Porsche in GT2s, with the demise of Neil Cunningham and Dave Clark in the Viper. There's the checkered flag then for the GT2s, and a great performance there from Tim Sugden. They timed their pit stop to perfection, And there is the confirmation. O'Rourke and Sugden with the victory in GT1 and overall, and finishing 7th and taking GT2 honours, Jason Saunders and Stephen Day. Well, superb performance by Tim Sugden and Steve O'Rourke. They are on top of the podium with the trophy. Steve O'Rourke there in the glasses. And what a strategy. It seemed to work for them.